Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Dizzy Diaries. I'm Teve, your POTS bestie, here to bring you a mix of science, sparkle, and support for life with dysautonomia. Today we're diving into a topic that can feel really intimidating when you live with POTS or other forms of dysautonomia: cardio exercise. I promise this isn't about forcing you to run marathons or climb mountains. It's about finding safe, gentle ways to strengthen your heart, improve blood flow, and make everyday life a little bit easier. When you live with POTS, even basic movement can feel like cardio. Standing up to fold the washing, walking around a shop, or visiting friends, it all demands more of your body than it does for most people. So when we hear the word cardio, it's understandable that it sounds scary. But really, what we're talking about is gradually improving your cardiovascular tolerance, giving your body a better chance to circulate blood, deliver oxygen, and handle the demands of daily life. Here's the sciencey bit. Your cardiovascular system is responsible for pumping oxygen-rich blood to your muscles and your organs. When you move, your heart rate increases, your blood vessels dilate, and your muscles contract in order to allow that blood flow to get through, which helps push blood back up to the heart and brain as well. For people with POTS, there's often a mix of low blood volume, poor venous return, and autonomic nervous system dysregulation. This means your body has to work extra hard just to do the basics that we've just explained. Safe, structured cardio exercise can really help for people with POTS. Let's talk about why. Firstly, it can strengthen your heart muscle. It improves that oxygen delivery to your tissues and the rest of the body. It enhances your circulatory efficiency, which means it helps blood get away from the heart to give oxygen through to the rest of the body, and helps to return that blood back to the heart to re-oxygenate it through the lungs. It reduces blood pooling in the legs by working more efficiently, allowing the muscles to work in harmony with the cardiovascular system. And over time, it can make standing, walking, and daily tasks feel a bit more manageable. So we've talked about the science. We know that cardiovascular exercise is important for everyone, just at the right levels. So let's talk about finding your exercise level and how we can use RPE and symptom scales. Before we dive into the specific options, it's important to remember there's no one size fits all approach, and you might have to try the RPE scale, try the symptom scale, and see what actually works best for you. The first helpful tool is the RPE scale. This means rating of perceived exertion. Think of it as a 1 to 10 scale of how hard something feels. For most people with POTS, early cardio training happens at around 3 to 5, which is a light to moderate effort. And you can use this as a guideline to say, well, how hard am I pushing? What am I feeling? And aim for that 3 to 5 to try and get the initial benefits out of cardiovascular exercise. This means it'll be challenging, but it shouldn't be completely exhausting, and you shouldn't feel completely out of breath. It should just feel like you're moving your body, you're giving it a stimulus, and it's responding. The second option to use is a symptom-based scale. If you feel dizzy, out of breath, or lightheaded, that's your cue to pause, rest, and reset. The goal is always gentle consistency, not pushing to exhaustion. Today I want to talk about different ways to build that cardio tolerance. There are so many ways out there, so many different ways depending on what you can tolerate and what your lifestyle looks like and where you are in your chronic illness journey. And today we're just going to cover 3 different options, graded from beginner friendly, very easy, something you can do at home, to something that you can do walking around outside, and then eventually progressing to slightly more challenging, just so that we don't become too over inundated with complex options. We just want to keep it simple, have 3 options that you can scale and progress. The first exercise is similar to what you would have seen in the POTS CHOP protocol, which is often used in clinical practice, and this is recumbent exercise, basically starting at level 0. When you're just starting, recumbent exercise, which means exercise that's performed in a seated or lying position, is often the safest place to begin. This could include a recumbent bike, a rowing machine, floor-based Pilates-inspired movements, or even gentle seated marching or banded exercises. Why this works is because being reclined reduces gravity's pull, helping blood flow back to your heart and brain while still building cardiovascular capacity. You can scale it over time. Start with 2 to 3 minutes of gentle effort. If that's too much, start with 30 seconds, whatever your current pacing is, followed by a minute of rest. Gradually increase up to 5 to 10 minutes of continuous low-intensity work, and eventually progress to intervals, which is short bursts of effort, then recovery. The second form of exercise, and think about this as a level up from the recumbent exercise, is walking and walking intervals. If you're able to tolerate upright activity, walking is one of the most accessible and effective forms of cardiovascular exercise. The key is to start small. Flat routes are your friend. Walk with a family member or friend for safety and motivation, and take bench breaks as needed. Once you're ready, start including walking intervals. This means you would walk at a normal pace for about 2 minutes and then slightly increase to a faster pace for about 30 seconds, and then recover again walking slowly for 2 minutes. Over time, progress towards a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 minute fast, 1 minute recovery, and build this over time. You may have seen the Japanese walking method trending online at the moment: short, brisk bursts followed by slow walking. It's simple but effective and adaptable for POTS. And remember, even laps around your living room count, so you don't have to go outside. Going outside has added benefits: fresh air, sunshine, mood boosts, but work within your limits and where you are right now. The last type of training is something that we use a lot in the United Kingdom, and it's called BACPR-style interval training. I do have a more specific resource on how to use BACPR alongside POTS, and I'll put that in the show notes. In the UK, the British Association for Cardiovascular Prevention and Rehabilitation, or BACPR, has designed a framework that is used widely in the NHS for cardiac rehab. It's incredibly relevant to POTS too. The main concept alternates between CV and AR. CV is your cardiovascular work, and AR is the active recovery in between. So think about almost intervals between that cardiovascular and active recovery format. This format keeps your muscles pumping to prevent blood pooling and gives you heart-safe, progressive training. In the episode today, I'm going to give you 4 exercises as examples that you could use for this type of training. And an example for this at-home circuit is: number 1, to march on the spot, whether you're standing, whether you're seated or lying down. Movement 2 is seated or standing banded rows. Movement 3 is gentle side steps, and movement 4 is wall push-ups. Again, these can all be adapted to lying down or seated, but this is an example of a circuit that you could do that alternates between that cardiovascular and active recovery. Ideally, you want to start with a 1-to-1 ratio, which means if you're working for one exercise for 45 seconds, you gently recover for 45 seconds. So the first 2 exercises, march on the spot for 45 seconds. The second exercise, seated or standing rows for 45 seconds. Over time, you can progress to a 2-to-1 ratio, which means 60 seconds work for 30 seconds recovery. When you're doing these exercises and performing the active recovery movements, a great way to keep blood moving is to actually pump your calves, alternating between feet or heel raises left to right, just so that you have a bit more support whilst you're doing any form of upper body exercise. If you're confused about any of this, have a look at the resource that I've put in the show notes, or have a look at BACPR's website, because they can give you a lot more information and you can get examples of these exercises online as well. Let's wrap it up with a couple of key takeaways from this episode today. Cardio doesn't mean intense, it just means gentle capacity building. Start where you are, not where you wish you were, and look at the level that's appropriate for you right now and where you want to go over time. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Use tools like the Recumbent exercise, walking intervals, and BACPR-style circuits to find what works for you, and trial and error. That's the best way to learn how your body responds and what actually works. That's it for today's episode of the Dizzy Diaries. Remember, your journey is yours alone, and progress doesn't have to be linear to be meaningful. If this episode helped you, please follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need a little sparkle in their recovery journey. And as always, stay sparkly.